My name is ErieNaku, and today we are doing Why Do Protagonists Always Have Boring Powers by Pint is Here. I am excited to see what he has to say because sometimes they do have very boring powers.
Some sprawling mystical world with thousands of years of history. The abilities people have access to in this world are numerous and pretty complicated.
I think Midoriya got a really boring power, not gonna lie.
With this one. Within the first
compared to all of his peers, his is some of the most uncreative. I'm not saying he's a bad character, but I'm just saying like
the side characters are capable
super
of producing
strength,
simple yet practical effects, while antagonists are capable of bending the rules of reality to extreme amounts. But finally, it's time for the main character. And they get energy projectiles. Cool. Oh, and they also punch twice as hard. Alright, nice.
The only person who made punching look cool is Rock Lee.
Exact same trope or pattern.
He's the only guy that has the riz to make punching look like
and powers,
cool, bro.
Extremely basic or one-note abilities. For like every 4 anime I've read or watched, I'd say at least one of them has a main character whose ability is equally as complex as their world.
The problem with a bunch of these protagonists' power is that they're not very creative or like creatively used. There's no innovation with these powers, which I think is the main problem on why they come off as really boring. The ninja world is a very creative place. There are so many techniques that you can combine to make new techniques. But the problem with Naruto is that he always just spams spams Shadow Clone and he spams Rasengan. There's no innovation to his power. And I guess he summons the frogs.
The rest have incredibly basic or generic abilities in comparison. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm simply wondering, why is this the case? Is there any reason for this? Let's run through a few examples of the point. I'll be running through characters from different media in quick succession.
I hope I know some of
briefly
these.
Going over their power system, then touching briefly on their powers, because, you know, their powers are brief. Then I'm gonna go into the edgy rival that every one of these characters seems to have, who in terms of interesting power sets, the author just seemed to love much more. I should also say that
when the author likes your sibling more than you.
Quite a decent bit, even if they are just variations of one ability, which they typically are, so this is more so meant to reflect near the middle of the story, or their average use of it. Let's start with a recent heavy hitter in the shonen space, Jujutsu Kaisen. The power system revolves around cursed energy, negative energy that flows out from humans stemming from negative emotions. Sorcerers
I think that was one of the things that I didn't get about Jujutsu Kaisen is I didn't understand the power system too well.
Or uniquely acquired naturally at some point. Yuji Itadori, the main character of the series, holds the cursed technique of nothing. He is a pure hand-to-hand
He ate
fighter.
a finger, boy.
He takes the basic principle of applying cursed energy into strikes and runs with it, sticking to purely fighting through martial arts and close combats. Of course, the power system throws him a bone every now and again and expands upon the basics to allow him to grow, but it should be stated that everything he can do, anyone else in the verse can. He has no unique powers. Except for his immunity to poisons, I guess, but who cares. Megami Fushiguro, on the other hand, has quite a large bag. First things first, he has the 10 Shadows, which allows the user to produce 10 unique familiars to aid them in battle.
All I remember was the wolves. I don't remember like all the others.
Alongside this comes a pocket dimension for storage, which you can store weapons in, and later on the ability to sneak into other people's shadows for
that's cool. That's cool. I like that ability.
The most powerful of these Shikigami is Mahoraga, or Makora if you want to be accurate, capable of adapting to any...
Oh no, I just remember him getting beat a lot, so I don't...
anything. Besides this,
hearing how cool his other abilities are, it's cool, it's cool.
When compared to Yuji, the gap is quite large. Bleach is another culprit of this kind of trope. See, Bleach has multiple power systems.
Ichigo, again, no innovation to his thing. It's just like hit and then hit harder.
Releases. Fighters are capable of doing things like producing storms of cherry blossoms or producing heat so hot it atomizes anything it comes into contact with.
I only watched like
a Soul Reaper,
30 episodes, maybe 40 episodes. I don't know when the Soul Society arc started.
Despite having every single important gene in the verse, his power set remains incredibly basic.
So I might be speaking on my ass with
one notable
Bleach.
attack. gets your attention.
I will say that
which
mask
is
is
basically
really
just
cool.
an energy slash. In no way weak, but incredibly basic. Uryu Ishida, on the other hand, only holds one of Ichigo's races, the Quincy. Despite being constantly power crept and literally genetically inferior, he holds a much more varied
Bro, his arm is cut off, and isn't his whole thing is that he's an archer? Bro, what you gonna do with your arm, bro? You gonna like string the bow back with your teeth? With your feet? I think I've seen people do that. Yeah, whatever.
skill set. He holds an arsenal of spirit weapons, which allow him to fight using a variety of strategies and foreplay.
I love archer
while later gaining
characters in
access to
shows.
Shrift, the antithesis, which allows him to reverse any damage between two targets.
Yo, that's
Besides
actually
this,
pretty cool.
He holds knowledge of several other Quincy techniques, which just further broaden his capabilities. Of course, Ichigo devours him in a fight, but once again,
Yeah.
Uryu's abilities are just so much more complex and
Cause they got
frankly
main
interesting.
character Riz.
If I'm going over Bleach, might as well go after Naruto too. In this world, ninjas are able to
Naruto,
use a spiritual
Naruto,
energy called chakra. Using chakra, a ninja is able to
I feel like it's very common nowadays for people to just shit on Naruto. I feel really bad that it keeps happening because I think for the time, Naruto's premise and everything it did was very innovative. But now that like new authors are coming out with polished concepts of whatever Naruto did, it just makes the faults of Naruto just seem so much worse.
from all kinds of techniques. Ninjutsu, taijutsu, kenjutsu, blah blah blah. You get the point.
The illusion jutsu. I think that was like some of the most useless dog shit type of jutsus ever. It's always used against someone with an eye power and then they immediately snap out of it.
These ninjas are pretty much capable of doing anything they want with this. From teleportation to replacing themselves with wood or clearing entire mountain ranges with the swing of a sword. Naruto's signature technique is a spiraling ball of chakra that sends people flying backwards. In of itself is not the most basic ability in the world and it's by no means weak, but what it achieves usually is pretty basic. Besides that, he's got Shadow Clone Jutsu, which is duplication, and for most of the story, that's pretty much it. There's nothing stopping him from picking up countless more jutsu unlike other power systems, he just doesn't. Sasuke, on the other hand,
Sasuke, bro. The author loves Sasuke, bro. He made Sasuke such a powerhouse.
Alright, let's look through this. Besides his countless lightning and fire release jutsu, he holds two of the most powerful
Yeah, the fire
visual
release
techniques
jutsu
in
was
the
really
entire
cool.
verse. The Sharingan, which just kept on growing and growing and growing, and later the Rinnegan. The first started off
And then
just
the
being able to copy
Susanoo.
any ninjutsu and casting illusions, two incredibly powerful abilities in their own right.
Yeah.
Then grew into creating inextinguishable black flames and building up entire mechs of
Woohoo, that's
armor
cool.
for the user to fight from.
Not gonna
Between
lie, that's pretty
Naruto
cool.
and Sasuke, Sasuke had the bigger bag for like the entirety of the show.
Yeah, the fact that he was losing to
So to
Naruto
answer
is a
the
really big
question,
L.
why is this so common? Clearly, it's not like the author is incapable of writing interesting powers to give their character.
I think the reason why it's so common is just because the more creative you have to make the main character's abilities, by extension, means you have to be more creative. It's also the same thing with smart characters.
So where does the need to give protagonists such
But
basic
Luffy,
abilities
bruh, everything about
Well, a
Luffy is
big
so
portion
creative.
of it might be audience perception. A complex ability fades from the mind easier than something basic, and recognizability can help with
And his
characterization.
weakness is like
of being a-
it's so clear cut, it's genius. If you ever need Luffy to lose a battle, just throw him into water. That's all you need to do. It could give so many reasons as to like, oh, why didn't Luffy win this? Oh, because he got thrown into water. That's why. It's so simple, but it's so genius.
You thought of practicing the Rasengan or Kamehameha. Basic abilities that stick to the mind are generally better for the most recognizable character to have.
True, that's
Another
also a big
reason
part.
could be to create juxtaposition with the world. In order for you to get engaged with the civilization and the rules of this reality, attention can't be taken away by the main character, else the abilities of antagonists and supporting allies who are meant to seem powerful and mysterious might seem dull in comparison. Interestingly, most power fantasies, isekais and the like, seek to do the opposite, giving their main character incredibly convoluted and powerful abilities to bring attention to them and how they conquer this world. Basic abilities can also serve as limitations, capable of building conflict through the need for strategy and forethought. Having the weaker ability forces the main character to deconstruct and analyze the abilities of their current threat or antagonist, rather than simply being able to beat them through sheer power.
I really like it when authors make characters like that, where it's just like, they're weaker in all respects, but they're just so creative with their abilities. It doesn't even matter.
Part 3 achieves it
They
arguably
just
better than any
seem
other
so
part
cool.
of JoJo's. Jotaro by far has the most basic stamina of the main JoJo's, of course, up until time stop. Finally, it might also serve as a reflection of the character. Shonen stories are usually meant to be uplifting. Even the ones with darker tones usually end on relatively uplifting themes and messages. By giving the main character such a basic ability, you establish the underdog, giving the subtle message that, regardless of what we might start off with enough hard work, effort, and support from our friends and family, we might be able to achieve and conquer what we thought was.
Adding to this, not all stories care about the magic system. A lot of stories just use the power system as a narrative device just to further the story. Like, they don't actually care about the specifics. It's all a means to the end, as long as you get feelings that the author was trying to convey or the messages they were trying to convey.
Impossible. Such is the beauty of simplicity.
Exactly.
The triumph of human spirit. Thank you for watching.
Special thank you to Pint is here for making this very good video. If you guys like this video, feel free to like and subscribe. And there's any videos you could think of that you would like to suggest, please leave them in the comment section and I might check them out. So thank you all for coming and I hope you have a good day. Bye.